Hello, Internet. Welcome back to our golf scenario series in Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. In our last episode, we looted. Actually, we did a lot of fighting. We fought and shot many zombies, including some slimes and things like that. We explored some body drops and found ourselves a nice gasoline lantern, which will be very handy. And we continue looting these houses, which I think we're going to settle into one of these houses on the corner here. That will allow us to access these other buildings pretty easily without having to backtrack all the way over here. And it will give us a temporary staging area to start building up our supplies, gathering things, building our skills, stuff like that. I think in this episode, we're going to focus on moving into a base, and I think we're going to start moving our skills forward somewhat so that we can start... we can get ourselves a better melee weapon. Currently, we're still using a pipe, which is really not good enough. So we're going to move over here, take our vehicle with us. It contains all of our loot currently. Don't hit the rock. Drive over the little dandelion back there. Doesn't really matter. I think we can settle in this house. We did break out the rear window, and we do have a lovely view of this backyard full of blood and gore. So I think that will be a fine place for us to settle. I'm hesitant to settle on the actual corner. Number one, we had lots of zombies breaking in or breaking out of this building, which damaged a lot of the exterior windows, which is problematic for, security reasons. And this one, we broke into the bathroom, but that doesn't matter. We can just shut that door and we can live in this little bedroom over here. I think we'll be fine. I would like access to whatever is in this room. But again, with Cataclysm, interior doors, for some reason, are locked sometimes. Doesn't really... Oh, it's not locked. Well, excellent. We will explore the basement and whatnot. I was about to complain. Someone did point out to me that these are not intentionally locked. Apparently, this is partly random gen. So I've complained in the past that we'll find like a front door open or unlocked, but then someone will lock the bathroom door. It doesn't really make sense. Like, why is the bathroom door locked? Why would someone lock a bathroom from the outside? It's an interior door. Like, honestly, unless you're in your bathroom, is your bathroom door ever locked? That sort of thing. And someone pointed out to me, I believe it was Sim on Discord, another simulacrum, pointed out that they use a randomized palette. And you might not know what that means, but basically that's why some of the windows generate with or without curtains. It's why some doors are locked and other doors are not, is because it's randomly generated. It's not something that's preset by the person creating the location. I personally think that that's terrible. I think that's a horrible way to do that. But I don't know, whose decision that was or why it's like that, but it is what it is. So we're going into a basement. I'm hesitant to take just a pipe down there in case there is a lot of conflict we're going to be having, but I don't really know how to fix that unless we want to grind fabrication for a little while, which we could do. Wouldn't take very long to grind fab, but I don't even know what weapon we would make, really. I guess, I think a quarterstaff requires survival or something. Let's do that briefly. Let's smash some of this furniture here and get some raw materials. So that should give us nails and wood and rags. And let's see what we can make with our fab skill really quickly. Of course, we can make fish hooks. That is generally my go-to. We'll make 10 fish hooks. And let's get a question nice and early here in the episode. If you're new here, I like to do random questions, so we have something to talk about, and then hopefully people will answer them in the comments down below. So let's get a random question. I'll scroll through my big old list, highlight one. What are you currently listening to? Nothing. I'm playing a game on YouTube. But you probably don't mean like literally this second. You probably mean like what music. You probably mean music. I'm not a big music guy. Most of the time what I'm listening to is podcasts or audiobooks. Those are the things I spend most of my time with. So on the podcast front, book front, I'm listening to the Dresden Files. Man, that only took us to 50% fab, huh? So we'll make a lot more fish hooks, I guess. Listening to the Dresden Files, they came up, like a month ago in some of my videos, and it made me want to listen to them again. I do have like all the audiobooks, and I have hard copies of... Like my bookshelf over there I have a whole shelf devoted to Jim Butcher, who is the author. And we've talked about it enough. I don't think we need to belabor that. Just to say that I highly recommend them. I'm on book 8, I think. It's the one with Molly and the SplatterCon convention. So those of you who've read the book probably know what I mean. I don't want to give spoilers or anything, but it's one of the books I like in the series. It's not my favorite book in the series. I probably like I like the one with Ivy and the Denarians. That's like my favorite. Like my favorite one, I think, is pretty interesting. I actually don't remember it super a lot. Why can't I make a quarterstaff? Is it Fab 2 or is it Survival 1? We can quickly get to Fab 2. I don't want to sit here and read. We do have a survival book. Let's push for Fab 2 really quickly. I don't want this whole episode to be this either. Like, that's not acceptable. Let's not make frames. Can't we make... What do I usually make? Knitting needles, I think? Requires a tool with cutting and probably more splintered wood. Let's grab a knife from the old kitchen here. From the old cutlery drawer. We'll cut up how many... What does a plank give? 16? Okay, we'll cut up a few planks for splintered wood. Make some knitting needles. So yeah, I'm listening to the Dresden Files. Man, it's going to take us like an hour. Let's just go for an hour's length of time, and if we get it, we'll stop partway through. I mostly listen to podcasts. Yes, continue crafting. And like tonight, so on my way to work, basically, how's our fab doing? 78%. It's taking a long time. I mean, not really, like in reality sense. Like it would obviously take us a long time to make a bunch of knitting needles, but this is longer than I wanted to devote to it. So like on my way to work tonight, as I'm driving to the warehouse, I'll probably listen to the NPR politics podcast. You know, Biden has recently been elected, so there's a lot of executive orders and stuff that's coming down right now, stuff that I find interesting and curious. And by the way, they overturned the ban on transgender people in the military, which I think is really good. I thought that was one of the dumber executive orders. Not to get political, we shouldn't talk about it. But anyway, so there's been a lot of that, so I've been listening to politics stuff. I might also listen to the NBC News podcast on my way to work, but I'm actually not a fan of just generic news. I'm more of a politics guy. Let's start moving our stuff into the building here. Let's move all that out there. We'll just haul that stuff inside for now. Oh, we can't haul through. Let's pop this door so we can come in and out the door. So I'm not a big fan of the news, but I'll probably turn that on because like when I'm driving to work, it's like a 20-ish minute drive to the warehouse because they moved it and it's further away now. And the politics podcast is usually like 15 minutes. So I'll need something to listen to after that while I'm driving because I can't change my podcast while I'm driving because I don't want to get arrested for texting or whatever. So I'll just set that up so I have something to listen to, you know, kind of on the way. Then tonight while I'm working, probably I will listen to the Horror Virgin podcast. They kind of give commentary and make jokes about horror movies. Probably either Let the Right One In or Terminator, which I don't really view Terminator as a horror movie, but they covered it and I might listen to that. Or Let the Right One In, which I remember liking that movie. I saw it like 10 years ago when it came out. What year was that? I was probably in high school. So like 10, 15 years ago. I remember liking it and it was like, I remember it was really beautifully shot. And I remember that it was a lot of like snow, which I like. I like cold weather horror. So like The Thing obviously is one of my favorites. So I'll probably listen to that. I haven't seen that movie in a really long time. I don't know if it's really actually a good movie or not. But I remember really liking like the cinematography because I had a friend in film school who talked a lot about it. And then and made me like it because I was like, oh, well, if he really likes it, he knows what he's talking about. And then I really like the cold weather snow stuff. Maybe I should watch that again. I don't know if that's a good movie or not. I don't remember. But anyway, so I'll probably listen to a podcast from the Horror Virgin. And then I'll have time to fill, so I'll probably swap over to the Dresden Files for the rest of my route. So that'll be what I'm listening to tonight. We should eat and drink something. I don't know if we have food and drink, really. We are not lactose intolerant for once, so we can actually drink the milk, which is both a good source of calories and quench. So we'll drink some milk. And, oh, we have crab cakes. What a weird... Are they even cooked? Deep fried biscuit loaded with crab meat. What do you mean biscuit? Like a crab cake is like... I'm sure there is breading in a crab cake, but it's mostly crab, or at least the ones I've had in my life. It's like a crab patty, basically. Deep fried biscuit loaded with crab meat. Huh. Okay. Well, whatever. I'm sure it's good. I don't even like seafood, but a crab cake is pretty tasty. I do like me a crab cake. Do we have any water? We're full. Unfortunately, we probably can't drink anymore anyway. All right, so we've eaten. We're still a little thirsty, but that's okay. Let's. We did not check to see if we can make the quarterstaff. Long stout branch. Okay. I need me a tree. Need me a tree. Are there any baby trees over here? There is a baby tree over here, so we'll get ourselves a long stout branch. Except it didn't give me anything. Okay, still possible. There could be others around. There's not. There is a forest nearby, but I don't really want to walk all the way over there. There are no baby trees. Okay, well, I do think baby trees should be more common in lawns instead of full-grown trees. Or not instead of, but in addition to these full-grown trees, I would like to see more small trees added. They're actually not, they don't show up very much at all in town areas, and they are a requirement for making the spears and stuff, so I would like to see, just for gameplay reasons, a few more of them added around. Do we see a zombie? I do not. So this zoo is probably jam-packed with zombie animals, which I'm not super thrilled about. I'm a little concerned about living next to, but we should be okay. Did I drop my pipe? I did not. So we got 3 long stout branches. Making a trip out here every time we want to... Moose, huh? Yeah. Where are you, moose? You're in the zoo, but I'm willing to bet you're strong enough to break those glass doors. And you're tracking. Tracking means... Does that mean you're going to come bother me? I hope not. Ignore. If that moose comes over here, we're pretty screwed. We do have a gun, but it might kill us before we are able to kill it. So that is an ongoing concern for sure. Did not expect a moose. I thought it would be more like, I don't know, bears and cougars and stuff in there. I actually don't really go to zoos, so I don't know. You've spotted me? You're very nearly dead. Why? Where's your little indicator? It might be hidden behind the bracket, I guess. It is. So ignore and then stop, and then we'll bludgeon it. The pipe will suffice for this because it is so already injured. But anyway, so that's what I'm listening to at the moment. Music-wise, I don't really listen to music. I only really listen to music when I'm writing, which I have not been doing because I'm a bad writer, and I haven't really been practicing the craft, and I feel not good about it, and I should probably be doing that more, but I haven't been. Quarterstaff. So the quarterstaff is a very good starter weapon. It has a +3 to hit, which is so significant in the early game before your skills really develop, and it has a very high bash value, so it makes it good against armored targets versus something like a spear. Now the quarterstaff is a melee weapon, unfortunately, which means we can't kite enemies with it, but it has very high damage. It has the rapid strike ability, which makes it very, very good against unarmored enemies in the early game, because we will frequently get this to proc, which will give us 66% damage, but only take half the time, so it over time gives more damage output. Against armored enemies, that's a bad trait to have because you're trying to beat their armor value, which means 66% damage is bad against an armored enemy. But against day 1 creatures, standard zombies, fat zombies, tough zombies, this quarterstaff is a very solid weapon. So we will make a quarterstaff, which I imagine takes a really long time. Doesn't have a sprite, I guess, and we'll go ahead and wield that instead of our pipe. Yeah, it's just a stick. I mean, I guess that is literally what a quarterstaff is. So that might actually be a sprite. Drop the quarterstaff. No, that's definitely an ASCII tile. But in your hands, it is a quarterstaff. I wonder why that is. I wonder why they made a sprite for... Probably... No. Why would there be a sprite for it on your character but not on the ground? I don't know. I don't know why that would be. Anyway, let's check this basement. pop down in the basement. Hopefully no sewer rats this time. Have ourselves a look around. Not really anything. Pretty empty basement. I wouldn't mind setting up a base down here. But like when I started playing, I would set up in basements a lot because obviously a basement seems much more secure. You're underground. Zombies back then didn't have a great time going up and down stairs. They really couldn't do it very well at all. And they would frequently just get stuck, you know, at stairs. That has changed. They're a little bit easier to navigate now. And honestly, I just don't like the hassle of carrying things up and down the stairs. So I don't think we'll be doing that. Now, let's assess our gear. We did find leather pants, so I think we're going to lose the jeans and throw on leather pants for added protection. We have... What did I just see? I just saw something that spurred me to say this. What did I... The hoodie. Yes, we'll put on the hoodie. The hoodie will be some protection as well. Let's take off our jeans. And let's lose... We don't have a coat item. Okay. So, let's wear leather pants. You'll see they have 4 protection, which is better than cotton clothing. We'll throw on a pair of leather pants. And then what about our torso? We do have the hoodie. That's looking like the best thing. The faux fur duster is going to be a little too hot, probably. Looks like we got a bite. I did not notice. So we need to treat that immediately. We have the sleeveless leather trench coat, which unfortunately is not going to protect our arms. I really hate the sleeveless garments. I never wear them. So I think I would rather wear... We could wear the corset underneath for torso protection. It's going to be very warm, though. And then we can put the hoodie over top, also very warm. I'm a little concerned our temperature will be too much. But let's give this a shot. Are we a man, by the way? We are a man. Nothing against men wearing... you know, corsets. I have no judgment there. We're looking for anesthetic? No, antiseptic. No, it's not. It's disinfectant. I forget what they renamed it to. It's not. It's antiseptic. How do you spell antiseptic? I can't spell. Okay, let's quickly make a drugs tile. This is how you deal with this. You make a drugs tile. And then... yes, but we're going to need an unsorted tile as well. Unsorted, put that at our feet. And then we quickly sort, and it will pull all the drugs off, which I can then look at much easier. Hemostatic powder. I know we have some antiseptic. I know we do. Hydrogen peroxide is what we have. Only 1 bottle, huh? I thought we found more than that. Quick look through again. Just that 1 bottle. That's a little concerning. We're definitely going to need more antiseptic. We have 4 more portions left. So unfortunately not going to be super useful for healing at the moment. But okay. We'll drop the bottle of hydrogen peroxide. Keep the jeans. We'll drop that back on the main pile here. Okay. Quarterstaff done. We have a gun. We've put on some other clothing. How is our warmth? Pretty warm. So once we start a fire, we're going to be pretty hot. But the corset will provide a lot of torso protection, and the hoodie will protect our arms as well. The hoodie is just a thick material, even though it's cotton. It's a thicker material, so it has higher protection values. Plus, it has a nice big pocket on it. Okay, so let's loot the house next door now. Are we wearing that golf hat still? I thought we put on a bike helmet. We did. That's the bike helmet sprite. Okay. It kind of looks like the golf hat, or what I thought was a golf hat. I don't know. For me, with pixel art, it's so hard to tell sometimes when things are so small. I don't know if we looted this house, but we're going to give it a once over here quickly. Definitely want the neoprene arm sleeves. Huh. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. We'll take those. None of that. We'll take the light gloves, I guess. And we'll take the scarf as a backup. Don't really want to take... We did loot this house. I remember this sorcery cards. So we'll just look where we haven't been yet. Which is, looks like in the bathroom. Take all this. we probably partially looted it, and then our gear was full, so we had to retreat. So let's push up and loot the rest of this house here. What was I talking about? Listening to, we talked about podcast. Oh, music. Yeah, so I haven't been writing, so I haven't really been listening to music very much. In my car, when I first started driving for a living, I would listen to the radio all night. But because it was nighttime, the radio is not very impressive. I prefer talk radio, where people are actually doing interviews and talking about topics and things like that. So I don't do that anymore. I only really listen to podcasts. When I write, I do listen to music. It's mostly Gorillaz and, I don't know, 90s pop and rock music. You know, I don't know, just random crap on Spotify. I guess I could pull up my Spotify playlist if anyone cares. So I just sort of threw together one day a random playlist of music that I listen to while I write. It's not really any particular order. There's not really any sense to it. It was just, I need something to listen to while I'm writing, so I'll just grab a few songs that I like. So Gorillaz, obviously, Dare is probably the one that's been stuck in my head for several weeks. That's the one where Noodle is just dancing with the giant head. Some Sublime, Rose Tattoo's one of my favorite Dropkick Murphys songs. I like Cage the Elephant. Train, I know people judge me for liking Train, but I like Train. Vertical Horizon, 90s music. Cake, classic Cake. And then just random crap, frankly. And I've been adding stuff to this, really not in several months. I just needed something to listen to. So that's my Spotify playlist for the time being. So yeah, I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts every night. I've been listening to, so I mentioned what I would listen to tonight, but I also will prowl around before I go to work for any kind of YouTube podcast. I listen to a lot of YouTube podcast stuff, and I don't know. And I get so annoyed with podcasts, so many podcasts. So this is going to be a rant a little bit. My least favorite thing about podcasts is that everyone does interviews. Interviews is the worst kind of podcast, in my opinion. So another sleeveless leather item. I just wish you were not sleeveless. Everyone does interviews because they're so easy. Basically, there's work involved. Don't get me wrong, you got to schedule and all that stuff. But you should not be just interviewing. So the other day I was listening to a podcast, and the podcast episode was titled something like How to Make Money on YouTube Without AdSense Revenue. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I, as a gaming channel, it's kind of hard. I can't make products the way other channels, let's say you're a finance channel, you can sell actual one-on-one, counseling type, not counseling, but counseling, explaining to someone, a one-on-one appointment or meeting. You can make business courses. You can sell products that relate to finance that will help you in some way, software. Maybe you get an affiliate link with a software company that makes finance software. There's a lot of avenues for that. Gaming, there's not a lot of that stuff. So I was like, okay, well, this will be really interesting to hear how people make money on YouTube other than AdSense, right? Because if you come into YouTube and you're like, I'm just going to make ad revenue, you're never going to make any money because ad revenue is very, very low CPM. There's really not a lot of money in advertisements on YouTube. There's a cost and there's a demand thing. There's just too much demand for advertisements, and there's not enough supply. There aren't enough advertising people for the amount of content creators that have advertisements enabled, versus Twitch, where there are more ads than there are people who are playing ads. So it becomes a whole thing, and then each particular industry gets a different, because their products vary. So if you're into finance, you might get $25 for every 1,000 views that you get on a finance channel, because the products that the advertisements are selling are so much higher. They cater to people who have money, that sort of thing, versus a gaming channel where a lot of people who watch gaming content are kids, and kids don't have money. So a lot of the advertisements that go on gaming, it's a much lower rate that you get because it doesn't bring in a lot of money for them to advertise, because a lot of the people that they hit are going to be kids. So if that makes sense, I don't know if that'll even make sense to people, but so I was very interested. I was like, oh, I would like to do things other than ad revenue. I'm curious, how do you make money without ad revenue? And I've seen podcasts like that before. Don't get me wrong, I have ideas, but like I wanted to have that podcast. And I started listening to it, and it was just an interview with a guy who makes dance videos and uses copyrighted music. And I was like, okay, well now one, you're encouraging someone who's actively like, you know, abusing someone else's copyright to make their own content, which I think is gross. I don't think you should use copyrighted materials without like some form of permission. And I realize gaming is kind of like that. Obviously, someone owns Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead and stuff like that. But I do think that that's different than using someone's music without their permission, that sort of thing. So now not only are you encouraging this person to, you know, who's basically ignoring the DMCA stuff, but also the whole video, the whole podcast had nothing to do with that. Like, yes, that guy was making money without ad revenue, but it was just an interview. You didn't really talk. I expected this to be, you pick a topic and then we talk at length about why this is important and what is available to you as a content creator. And here's where to start looking. Here are services that cater to this sort of thing. I really thought it would be like a topical thing. And instead it was just an interview with some guy who dances in the woods. And it's like, you wasted my time. You had a clickbait thumbnail, clickbait title, because you're not really covering what you're talking about. Like, yes, you can argue like, oh yeah, we're talking to a guy who makes ad revenue without using ad revenue. He makes money. But you clearly led us to believe, based on the other content on your channel, that this would be a discussion about, you know, services and stuff to make money through, you know, non-ad revenue means. It just really annoyed me, and I felt like it wasted my time, and I hate it. So I really hate whenever I pop on to any podcast, doesn't matter what the podcast is, and it's just a list of interviews, because it's so frustrating. And other places do that too. It's not just content creators. There was a self-publishing podcast that I listened to for a while. I'm really interested in publishing in the long term, so like that's something I'm very interested in. So they had a video, and it's like how to, like they had a video, literally it was like how to make money selling post-apocalyptic fiction, and I was like, oh yeah, it's me. I want to do that, you know. And I got really excited, and then it was just an interview with some lady who writes, you know, like post-apocalyptic fiction. And it's like, yeah, I guess technically you're giving me what you said you were going to give me, but I really thought this would be a discussion about like the logistics of it and strategies for how to advertise that type of content and how to draw people in who might not be interested in that type of content. I thought it would be like practical, actionable advice. And what it actually was just a generic interview that didn't really tell me anything. Like, yeah, it's great that that lady can do it and that that lady has, you know, succeeded in doing this. But also maybe she should talk about how she did it and how other people can do it, since you're a podcast 100% devoted to helping people self-publish. I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling. That stuff annoys me. It really annoys me. Really gets my ire up when I am excited to listen to a podcast and I feel like I've been misled by the title. And everyone does that because it's an easy way to get views, frankly. And yeah, find that super frustrating. Anyway, I'm feeling a little bit hoarse, and I want to cut off the rant here. So I think we're going to call the episode here. Everybody, thanks for watching. Hopefully you had a good time. I'll be back with more Cataclysm in the near future. See you next time.